In 1904, the HD Mercantile building was built on the very grounds where the general store once stood, having been moved on logs across the street. A builder by the name of Christian Harry, who immigrated to New Braunfels from Germany, constructed many buildings in New Braunfels, several of which are still standing. Not only did he build iconic Green Hall, he also erected the Italianate brick building commonly known as the Mercantile. Constructed in honor of H.D. Gruene, the man credited for bringing this town to life. The Mercantile was the largest building in Gruene, and H.D. used it to expand his trade business. Here, the Gruenes sold dried goods, farming implements, groceries, and even gasoline to power the latest jalopies. During construction of the Mercantile building, the International and Great Northern Railroad built a freight and passenger depot about a mile west of the community called the Gruene Depot. The Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Rail also built another line in 1901. All of this fueled the expansion of H.D.'s cotton empire. The railroad allowed Gruene to branch out into exporting cotton as well as grain products, along with importing the latest goods for H.D.'s newly designed mercantile store. H.D. had become the community's first postmaster in 1890, opening a post office out of the original mercantile store. After completion of the new mercantile, 2 additions were built on either side of the red brick building. The left-hand side was designated the Goodwin Post Office, and the right-hand side became a bank. The original vault still stands inside of the building. The bank held many farm mortgages and offered extensive farm financing. Upon retirement, after years of service and dedication to the Gruene community, H.D. Gruene established a business for his sons, Max and Othmar, to manage. For a time, it was known as the Gruene Brothers Store. Cotton had always been the backbone of Gruene's economy, and when the boll weevil infestation of 1925 completely wiped out the crops, most farmers were left with no other choice but to pack up and leave. This left the mercantile store with limited business, and thus began the decline of the town. By the start of the Great Depression, the Gruene community was already on its way to becoming a ghost town. Within no time, the decline in cotton production brought a devastating end to the once prosperous railroad system. Within that same year, the mercantile was forced to follow suit. However, the mercantile has been repurposed into a number of businesses over the years. The Gruene Mercantile housed an automobile dealership featuring cars like Veely, Maxwell, and Plymouth, the forgotten cars of a bygone age. You can still see evidence of where the original lift was used on the first floor ceiling to hoist cars up to the second floor. And on top of the roof in 1911, during an historic airplane flight over Gruene, a huge American flag was flown. As the story goes, Cal Perry Rogers flew one of the very first Wright Brothers style biplanes, named Vin Fizz, over Gruene from Muskogee, landing in the fairgrounds a few miles away from here. It was the first time anyone in the area had ever seen an airplane. The Mercantile became a chain grocery store during World War II. Then the Texide Chemical Company occupied it for a short time in the early 1950s. J.M. Lee Warehouses of San Angelo leased the building in 1955 and used the structure to store wool before it was sent off to San Marcos to a scouring plant. J.M. Lee built a 2,700 square foot addition to the back of the building to be used as a loading dock. The town was lifeless for over 15 years and was suddenly again the center for activity, centered around the wool storage and processing business. But the activity was short-lived, and when the wool business was pulled out of Gruene, the settlement once again became known as a ghost town. It wasn't until 10 years later that the Mercantile building became home to a new industry.
The entire Mercantile building was inhabited by Hadlock & Fox Manufacturing Company, and they manufactured saddle trees.
And for the out-of-towners who don't know what a saddle tree is, it is the frame around which a leather saddle is built. If it wasn't for the vision of 2 honky-tonk loving music fans, Gruene Mercantile wouldn't be what it is today. Today, the Mercantile currently houses the Gruene Antique Company, the historic Gruene offices, and Mosey's Bar and Grill.
The atmosphere of Mosey's is really pretty fun. It's like a great place to watch what's going on in Gruene because you can be in the air conditioning, but you can look out the windows and see all the people come into the dance hall for the evening or going to the grist mill. And a lot of the artists who play the hall actually eat at Mosey's before their show. And it's a sports bar too, so there's any kind of major sports you want to watch, you can see while you're there.
Thanks to Pat Molak and Mary Jane Nally, the H.D. Gruene Mercantile building is visited year-round by thousands of people. Although life around the Mercantile has changed throughout the century, this building stands as a pristine picture of the past. And before you step inside, don't forget to clean your boots off with the original built-in boot scrapers.